you're doing well. We've had fun doing this project so far. This is very interesting to me. And down with Putin. So let's head into the last section of this project. And here what we're going to do is we're going to create a function to use with the dot apply function in Pandas. So this would be really easy. We could do the same thing with a for loop, but this is truthfully an easier way to do it. So we're going to define a function. So we're going to define make a category basically out of a continuous value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go define a function, define make cat, and x. And x will be the value in each row that we're receiving. So if x is less than 200, let me actually see that, is less than 200, then we'll go cat equals to low. Okay. Else if x is greater than 500, what we'll do is we'll go cat equals high. Okay, so we go on the high and we go on the low. Else, so if neither of these are true, it's a middle value. So else cat equals to mid. Okay, creates our category column. So we create that little function. It's very handy to use these little functions like this. And so we're just going to use the dot apply. So we'll go our new category feature. So we're looking, the reason that I made this is to inspect the amount of personnel lost, the amount of people that were lost, and we could look at it in terms of other features and inspect that in another way. So we're just creating another category that's a category of the difference in personnel. So we'll go dot apply, and what we'll do inside the dot apply, we're just going to give it the function. So we're going to make underscore cat. Notice that we're not putting any parentheses around here. We're just going to give it the function that we created up above. Okay, and there we go. Now we have a cat function. So what we do, we're going to use that function in our next one. And so we're going to make a pair grid. So this is very similar to a pair plot. We'll make this really easy for everyone today. What we're going to do is, we have most of it. We're going to use a list comprehension for the for the difference categories. But we're also going to find the difference. We're going to do kind of a dual list comprehension to select out the features we want. But we also want this feature to have the personal diff cat. Running that. Also to note the palette that we're giving it, this pair grid, is the same as the features above, but we're only having 3, so we're only selecting the first, so 0, 1, 2 position, not in everything up to, but not including 3 for those values. So we're selecting everything up to, but not including the position number 3, so we're selecting the first 3 values. Okay. So here we're going to do, so we assign pair grid to G, and then we're going to go G dot map diag. Okay, so map diag, and in the diagonal we're going to put a histogram. In the next one we're going to do map upper, and then map lower for the reg plot. So I'm gonna make sure we spell these right. So DIAG, upper and lower, and then here we'll go map. The last thing we'll do is map underscore add, or sorry, G underscore add legend, just so that we have the legend in our plots. And there we go. Run that one, and good to go. So let's take a look and make sure that works. And so these will take a little while to run, so I won't run a whole of them while we're sitting here and waiting. And I do think these look quite good. There wasn't as much actual information that I ended up getting from examining these, but these are very valuable in understanding how your plots are looking. And there we go. Okay, and going through those, we can see here things like the weapons. When we look at all of these featured weapons, they look nice. Wasn't instantly, there's not a lot of data, so we're instantly able to see a lot of patterns from the pair grid, but it's a really interesting tool. And I prefer using the pair grid versus the pair plot so we can see kind of at least two different styles of plots on the top versus the bottom. Give yourself some more texture and make your plots look a little bit better than just the Seaborn. Seaborn looks good by default, but it's good to make your plots be a little bit more unique and kind of showcase what you can do. So we did the same thing for all of these, and going on to this. So the next thing that I do, make a little correlation plot here. So very easy to do. So what we'll do is we'll go, oops. So let's go SNS dot heat map. And in the first section, we're going to do our plot. And so we're going to go df of the feats, because it's all really concerned. So of the feats dot core. And so df dot core gives us a correlation matrix by default. And if we put this into a heat map, it just instantly makes a super nice little picture. Okay, so there we go. And so what I'm doing in the next section is, actually, you know what I should do as well is a note equals true. And that just gives us the numbers visible. We can see the actual value in that. The colors are good, but seeing the actual value can be nice as well. So a note equals true. I'm doing it a little bit more complicated here to set the color. We could do something kind of simple and go Mako or something like that and set one of the colors to that. I'm doing something a little bit more complicated to kind of have fun with Seaborn and show the kind of flexibility that we can have in these plot designs. So we use SNS.diverging palette, 210, 25, L65, and center light. So it's going to make the middle color kind of light. We can see that here. And then make one side one color and then the other side one color, a strong version of each of those colors. And this works really well when you're looking for correlation that could be positive or negative, and we're really concerned about the strong correlations. So we run this, take a look at the correlation plot. We got a nice little plot of these two features here, and we can see that the difference between aircraft and helicopter are actually quite nice. So I'm just noticing, we should have done this a little bit differently. So we are going to do feats, but we want to look at the difference in feats. So what I should do here is when I do the function, it's going to be feat plus diff in feats. And I need to make sure this is all inside of a list here. So wrapping that in a list. So feat plus underscore diff in feats, and that's going to be the list of features. So run this. So this should be feat plus diff for feats in feats. Okay. And so we run this. Voila, get a nice plot. So it's good to show making mistakes when you're coding. No one is perfect. And it's really good not to get flabbergasted when you see an error. Just go calm. What could this be? Oh, okay, I could have done this better. And just inspect step by step and make sure that everything piece by piece is working well, and then kind of come back and run it all. So it's just about going slow when you see an error, because it really just means Python was confused and it didn't understand you. It's not that you're stupid or you're bad, it's that it didn't understand you. So here we go. So anyway, so we plotted this function. So again, that's feat plus diff. We're going to do this for feat in features. So for the item in the list, we'll do this. It's really good to get used to list comprehensions. They're very handy little plotting tools. And you can see here we have all of the correlations for all of our plots, and then we have the correlations going into all of our for all of the features down below. Here what we're going to do is just plot all of them together, but we have all of these individual lists of features. We need to put them into a bigger, essentially a bigger data or bigger list, so that we can have all of these features that we want to work with only together. So we'll do 4 features in features list. This is a list of our features. We created a blank list. So 4 features in feature list. We're going to go extend. So not append, but we want to add this on to the end, but we want to extend it with another list. So we're extending the list with another list. You can see here we have now all of our names. And then if we were to put this feats all the list we just created of the reduced features that we want to work with, we can now plot a correlation matrix for all of those features. Again, they're looking at this is using, although those are the features, we're concerned about the change, not as it is today, not the cumulative change, but the change as it's happening. So the change month by month and how those are correlated. So we can see that here. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me on this data analyst project. And down with Putin, and hopefully Ukraine wins this all, and we have happy news to talk about when I update this project in a few months. So thank you very much for joining me on this. Hopefully you like the color palette. Play around with SNS, diverging palette. It's quite fun, and you can make some pretty graphics with that. So I will see you next time, and take care. Bye.